Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn how to do a truss analysis using the method of joints. My name is Sugandha Singh and I will be your instructor for the next 15 minutes. So let's start with a brief introduction about what are trusses. Trusses are structures that are created by joining various bars together in a triangular formation to form a rigid system. These trusses are supported by columns and then further which are supported by foundations which are embedded inside the soil. Each of the bars are pin connected. The implication of the pin connection is that there are only horizontal and vertical forces and there is a rotation between the bars. That means there is no transfer of moment through the joints. The loads that are applied on the trusses are always applied at the joints. The bars that are here, they are all subjected to one-dimensional stresses that are in the direction of their longitudinal axis. The bars are assumed to be made of homogeneous material, as in the material of the bar, let it be steel, aluminum, or whatever that we are using, they are all constant throughout the length of this bar. There has to be no it is the assumption that there is no irregularity within the length of the bar. And the bars are assumed to have prismatic cross section. As in, if we look at this cross section, the cross section remains same throughout the length of the bar. Further, the bars are assumed to behave linear elastically, as in the Hooke's law is applicable. The Hooke's law says that the stress in the bar is directly proportional to the strain. So the behavior, if we plot stress versus strain in each of these bars, the behavior should be linear. And elastic means that if there is no load that is further being applied on the bar resumes its original shape. Further, we want to understand what is the application of conducting a truss analysis. Why do we conduct this particular analysis? So the first application is how the load transfers within a structure. So as I said before, a truss is supported on the columns, which is on the foundation, which is embedded within the ground. So our ultimate aim is to move that load that is being applied on this truss to the ground. So the load transfers through the column, then to the foundations, and then to the soil. And the soil bears that load. So for that, what we need to find out is, for all of this, we need to design the columns, the foundations. For that, we need the reactions. We need to find out the reactions so that we can accordingly understand how much load is being transferred to the column and we can easily design it accordingly. So first task that we do when we do a truss analysis is to find the reactions. Second is the member design. After we have found the reactions, we still need to design the truss that is transferring the load accordingly, just like we have to design the columns. So for each of these bars, we need to know the member forces and what type of forces is being applied. Usually the members in a truss are subjected to tensile and compressive forces. So we should We should design all of these members accordingly based on the type of load that is being applied to them and the magnitude. So first off, we have to understand how to calculate reactions in a truss. To understand that, we can start with a particular example of a truss which has a height of 3 meter and a width of 6 meter. For that, if we draw a perpendicular bisector from joint B, this length is this particular length from BA to this joint is about 3 meter, and the height of the truss is 3 meter. So this angle becomes 45 degrees. The truss is subjected to a vertical load of 100 Newton at joint B and a horizontal load of 50 Newton at the joint B. Now, based on this information, we need to find out the reactions. The truss is also supported on a pin support at joint A and a roller support at joint B. So, at joint A, there is a vertical reaction, let's call it VA. At joint C, there is a vertical reaction, let's call it VC. And a horizontal reaction at joint A, let's call it HA. There are three equilibrium equations within the system which should be satisfied for it to be a stable structure. Namely, the sum of all the horizontal forces should be equal to 0. So FH is equal to 0. In this case, I am assuming a direction from left to right to be positive. So for this case, HA plus 50 will be equal to 0. So HA comes out to be negative 50 Newton. That means the direction that we have assumed here is opposite. Next is the sum of all the vertical forces should be equal to 0. Assuming that the upward direction force is positive, we can write this equation. So VA plus VC minus 100 is equal to 0. That means VA plus VC is equal to 100 Newton. Let's call it equation 1. We will come back to it later. The third equation is that the moment at all the joints should be equal to 0. That means they shouldn't be rotating. So let's assume, take a moment at any of the joints, let's say joint A, and it should be 0. Here I am assuming a direction of anti-clockwise rotation, or force that induces anti-clockwise rotation should be positive. Taking moment at A, HA and VA have 0 distance from joint A, so they won't be included in the equation. Only reactive force that will be included will be VC. So 6 into VC, and it induces an anti-clockwise rotation about joint A. So this is positive. 100 Newton load induces a clockwise rotation about joint A. So this is negative 100 into 3 meter. The 50 Newton load also induces a clockwise rotation about A. So negative 50 into 3 equal to 0. From this we will find out that VC is equal to 75 Newton in the positive. So the assumed direction of VC is correct. Now lastly, from equation 1 we can find out VA, which is equal to 100 minus 75, that is VC, equal to 25 Newton, also positive. So the assumed direction of VA is also correct. Now that we have found out the reactive forces, we have to find out the member stresses. There are two methods of doing that. The method of joints, which is the focus of this lecture. In this case, we come back to the original assumed truss. In this case, we want to find out the stresses in each of these members. So based on the load that is being applied, we can satisfy equilibrium at each of these joints. So let's consider this one. In this joint, we have the horizontal reaction force, vertical reaction force, and the member force here and here. Using these, we can apply Fh is equal to 0 and Fv equal to 0. Note that we are not taking moment here because there is no moment at any of these pin connected joints. So these two are knowns and these two forces are unknowns. So we have two unknowns and two equilibrium equations. So we can find out these two unknowns. Another method is the method of sections. This method is usually used in case we have to find stresses at only one particular member. So coming back to the original one, if let's say I want to find out the member forces in only one of these members, let's assume that I want to find out the force at this member. The loads remain same. I want to find out member force in just this one member. So I can cut a section here and take the right hand side of the truss. So the truss that we have after cutting, and this is a virtual cut, not an actual cut, we have these forces that are being applied, and this is the member force. After satisfying all overall equilibrium of the structure, that is three equilibrium equations, we can find out the stress in this member. There are three unknowns again. These are the unknowns and three equations. So we can find out these member stresses. However, the aim of today's lecture is to understand the method of choice. So we come back to the example that we were doing. Now that we know the reactive forces and their directions, we can actually conduct the analysis and find out the member stresses by analyzing and satisfying the equilibrium at each of the joints. So let's start with joint A. So first what we do here is to make the force diagram at joint A. In this direction we have 50 Newton reactive force, 25 Newton reactive force. In this direction, assuming that tensile forces are positive and compressive forces are negative, we start with the assumption that all the members are in tension. This is member stress of member AC and member AB. The angle between AB and AC is 45 degrees. So first we start with F vertical sum of all vertical forces at this joint equal to 0. Again assuming upward direction to be positive. We stick with the sign convention that we initially start with. So FAB resolves into a vertical and horizontal component. So FAB sine 45 degree plus 25 is equal to 0. So we end up with FAB is equal to negative 25 root 2 Newton. Now that has come as negative. So now we initially assumed FAB to have tensile stresses. Now that we have found out the force in AB, this is compressive. Compressive as in when we mark the force is here in this member comes like this. Moving on to next equilibrium, FH is equal to 0, assuming this direction is positive. We will find negative 50 plus FAC plus FAB cos 45 degree equal to 0. So this will be FAC is equal to 50 minus FAB is minus 25 root 2. So plus 25 root 2 into 1 over root 2. So FAC comes out to be 75 Newton, and because it is positive, the answer is positive, it is tensile in nature. So this we show like this on the truss. These arrows are really important for anyone to understand what are the direction or the type of force that the member is being subjected to. So these type of arrows show that it is tension, it is subjected to tensile forces, and these arrows show that it is subjected to compressive forces. Now we have one more member to calculate the member stresses. So we start with at joint C. So at joint C, let's make the forces here. There is a 75 Newton reactive force, a 75 Newton member force, member AC, and the unknown FA, FBC. Again, the angle is 45 degree here. So whichever equilibrium we satisfy, we should be able to find FBC. So let's go with vertical forces equal to 0, assuming upward is positive. FBC sine 45 degree plus 75 is equal to 0. FBC thus becomes 75 negative root 2 Newton. Again, this is negative in nature, so this is a compressive stress. So here we show these loads. Now that we have found out all the member forces, we can actually satisfactorily design each of these members so that the truss remains stable under the stresses that are being applied on it. Next lecture, we will study method of sections. Thank you very much.